We are going to do a session now on planning Google events on campus. I know we gave you an hour yesterday to kind of start thinking about things you would do on your campus, and hopefully this presentation can help you for your presentations a little bit later about what you're thinking about. So Alex and I are going to be presenting a little later on, but we're going to start off with Kat, who is a member of the events team here at Google.
Thank you. Normally I am back in the back and not up here, so I'm a little nervous. So I'm Kat. I've been here at Google for a little over 5 years and planning marketing events for 4. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of a crash course in Google branding and kind of how to bring your events on campus alive. So to start out, the Google brand, as you all know, is globally recognizable, and it's one of our most powerful assets. It's also a strong promotional tool. So when you're using, Google branding as part of your event promotion, like that should be really helpful to you, we hope. I think when people see the Google brand, they think of, cutting edge technology and being really innovative and creative. But at the same time, it also has we associate it with being really playful and scrappy. So that, I think, is what makes the Google brand really great for events, because you can really be creative around it and try new things. So around our logo, we are pretty protective of it just because it is, one of our biggest assets. So we do ask a few we ask that you follow a few rules when you're using it. So first of all is don't create your own doodle. We all see the doodles on the homepage, which are great, but those are, something that we take very seriously and create internally. So if you can just avoid doing them yourself, we would really appreciate it. Also, we use the Google logo only on black or white backgrounds when you're using the 4-color logo. We don't make the logo black ever. So if you're going to use a colored background, we ask that you use it in white. So those are kind of the main things. And then also for the templates themselves, you can find those on your ambassador site, so you can download them there. When you are printing the logo on a piece of paper or anything that is offline, you can use the flat logo. So here you can see 2 different versions on a white background and black background. If you're using it online for Google site or your RSVP page or whatever, there's a shaded logo, so you can actually tell when you see it online, it does have a very subtle shadow, and so that's kind of the difference between the 2 there. And here are just, again, some illustrated do's and don'ts. We already talked about not using the colored logo on a colored background because you lose the color. Not making your own doodles or manipulating it. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then also, if you can avoid putting it on top of a photo, you kind of lose the logo there too, so we try to avoid that. And then also not using the logo in a sentence, so saying like, join, the Google logo ambassador program, just type out Google and then you can use the logo somewhere else. Does that make sense? Okay. So then on to more fun things. For your events themselves, we try to be really creative about how we decorate a room using things that we can reuse or food or other things like that. So we try to be really creative with that. You can project the Google logo. So if your room has that capability, you can make a quick Presently slide or whatever and project it. So that's a pretty cheap way of doing things. Demoing Google products, obviously that's super important. Using the Google colors, I think, is a really easy way that we tend to dress up a space and make it look a little bit more inviting. So the colors obviously are the primary colors. They're really readily available. Even like at Safeway, you can find like colored tablecloths, and that will really dress up a room. They're in the 4 colors already, and they're like $2.50 a piece, and you can reuse those. So that's a really simple way. In this top photo, you can see some Google colored lanterns, and I've ordered those myself online, and they're again like $3 a piece, and those are pretty festive. You can reuse them; they're really easy. Food can be a great way to introduce decor. So here we have an example of cupcakes that we had the Google logo put on, or snow cones or colorful Jones sodas come in all of our colors. So kind of thinking outside the box there about how to use things like if you're providing refreshments, they can also be part of the decor. Printing posters, color printing is pretty cheap, so you could kind of design your own poster. Using swag as decor, you can display it kind of artfully, and that could be part of your event. And scrappy, down at the bottom here, you can see like a toolbox and some colored masking tape. That was at Maker Faire, which is sort of a scrappy event to begin with. But that's just from like a hardware store, so you can kind of just see things that are the primary colors and include those in your events pretty easily. I think the main point is to just really make your event look like you thought it through and put some effort into it, but it doesn't have to be expensive or crazy. There are really simple ways that you can sort of infuse our brand and culture into your events. And then I have some fine print. So these are just event guidelines that we use ourselves. And so I want to make sure that I give this information to you guys as well. So with any event, we should not be gambling. We avoid like casino night type events and that type of thing. We ask that the logo not be placed on any alcohol related items. So we don't make, custom Google beer or, wine glasses or that type of thing, shot glasses. Those are all no-nos, please. Overusing the Google logo, we try to be very simple in all of our, the homepage, for example, the white with one logo. We just ask that you don't use the logo like a million times on one page. Just use it like once so it makes more of an impact. Disposable items we try to avoid putting the logo on because we don't like seeing a garbage can full of our logo. So that's just something we try to avoid. Another thing is if you are projecting the logo, we ask that you don't project it on the ground. We want it to be like on the walls or the ceiling or up high so people aren't walking all over it. Sounds silly, but we think about these things. And then also we avoid hosting golf outings just because it's not really part of our corporate culture and it doesn't really communicate the right message. So that's that. And then I will turn it over to Kira and Alex.
Thank you. Thanks, Kat. So just a really quick note about venue selection on your campus. So most of the time it'll be more convenient and less expensive for you to actually host events on your campus. So definitely think about kind of your audience and the point of the event and what's really appropriate. So, for instance, sometimes you might just be setting up a table. I've heard of some ambassadors doing that in the past. So you want to be thinking about where are people going to be walking by? How can I get to, get the word out to a targeted audience? Do I want to set up a table near an engineering building, or do I just want to go to a quad where the most people of all time walk through? If it is off campus, make sure that everyone can kind of get there and people know where it is. I'm sure a lot of people on some of your campuses don't have cars, so also something to think about. Some campus locations where people have had events before, the student union, a cafe, I think computer rooms have been used before, a public space outside, or conference rooms on campus. So also you just kind of want to think about your audience and what's going to appeal to them. And this is when you're thinking about what type of event do you want to hold. If your audience is technical and you're kind of presenting to engineering students, you might want to have capabilities where they can, in a computer lab, where they can really play with the products themselves and kind of work with it as you are demoing it. If they're not technical, it may not be helpful for them, and you may need to be a little bit more broad. So also think about what you need for your event. This seems pretty obvious, But I remember for my first event how helpful it was actually kind of thinking through it step by step by step. There were a lot of little things that I hadn't thought about. And fortunately, I was with someone who was really experienced, and they were able to help me. So definitely be prepared. I think you'll be surprised. Also, think about how you reserve space on your campus. I remember, I think Robin said yesterday that she had the Google Campus Ambassador kind of set up as a club. A lot of you will be presenting to clubs, so they'll be able to reserve rooms for you. A lot of you have your own connections on campus where you're able to reserve rooms. And also, we have here, how can you leverage your Google University Programs contact? I think we'll be giving you that information a little bit later. You saw a lot of the campus specialists and how we have different schools assigned. We don't have all schools, and in that case, we'll figure something out. But I think we'll post that information on the ambassador site. But a lot of us have our own contacts at your universities, whether that's in the Career Center or with certain organizations. So, definitely feel free to reach out to one of us and get some advice and see if you can actually use your Career Center as well. If you're kind of thinking about, about getting the word out about the student opportunities.
Okay, so you want to make sure that you guys are promoting your events wisely, because that's how you get people to come. And events where people are there are a lot more fun than events that are empty. So you want to kind of get to know your student audience. You want to know what kind of emails they respond to, when do they respond, are they checking their emails maybe 20 minutes before an event? Should I send a reminder then? Who are you sending them out, your emails out to? Are you sending it out to computer science students if it's a computer science event, or the student body? Are you going to present or have Google presence at a football game, and who goes to football games? And as much as you can get information out there to promote your event, the better. Can you guys yell out some ways that you might promote events on campus? Posters? Sorry? Mailing lists? What kind? Spam? Spam doesn't work very well. Housing units have aliases. Facebook. Use Facebook to promote Google. Put a banner on the university's website. If you can pull that, that'd be great. Table tents? Table tents are a little bit harder because you have to have the table tents. Oh, I thought you meant like the Google. Never mind.
Oh, no, little tiny teepees on the cafeteria.
Oh, table tents. Yes, good idea. So that involves printing. That's easier than getting I was thinking like a tablecloth with the Google. Yes. Sorry? Oh, Twitter. Yep. What about clubs? Do you guys have fraternities and sororities at your schools? Yeah. No, yeah. I'm not really sure what that meant, but what else? Yes, you can email the presidents of clubs and sororities, and also have presence on the row. That's what we called it at USC. Yes. Make announcements during class. That's a great idea. So use your professors. There are a lot of professors. We do work with faculty on campus. So if you have professors that are teaching a course using an Android phone, or have talked about Google in general, or maybe had worked at Google, we have a visiting faculty program. They're usually pretty invested in Google and can help you promote these events. And I think having professors behind you is a great way to promote events to the student body. Yes? Write press releases and send them to the school paper. These are ambitious. I like them. Yes? You most likely will not have the list of faculty because we don't want to send that out. I think just feeling them out and kind of understanding. I think it actually makes sense to introduce yourself to your professors as the Google Campus Ambassador. That's definitely a good way to let them know who you are and see if they're interested. Yes? Yes, computer science professors are very, very interested in Google. What he just said, if anyone didn't hear it, was that he reached out to a professor and introduced himself as the campus ambassador, and the professor's really excited to plan events with him and get to know him better. Yes. The Student Activities Council is a great way to do it. You're going to reach a lot of people there who reach a lot of people after you. Anything else? Yes. Google on the teaching on the toilet type stuff. Yeah. Put posters in restrooms. Actually, that is a good way that's a good way to promote Google's culture, is to do things that we do here, and little quirky things that you've seen while you're on campus this week or in your internship. You can do those things on your own. Bring them to your own school. Anything else? Yes. Yeah. If you're in the computer lab, if you want to write something on the board, it's a great way to do it. The whiteboards. So another thing I want to talk about is having people RSVP. So it's really important that you guys take note of who attends your events, because you're going to kind of hopefully establish like a little following of people who are interested in Google and who want to help you out. The more people you can get to help out, the easier your job is. So it's definitely good to have. So when you go to do an event, I would suggest doing an RSVP form. You guys all know how to do forms, and have them put their information down. And we usually suggest that they put their name, their email address, and then put a little note that says if you sign up and put your email address, we may contact you sparingly. And then their degree is also often helpful, and their year. And then use your RSVP forms later on. So if you have another event later, you can contact those students that you already have their information, and then they tell their friends, and your event just doubled. And it's also a great way for you guys to measure your success. Like I mentioned before, our team's not there to see your events. So if you're sending us forms with 60 people attending, we're gonna know that you guys are doing a good job on campus, and that's a great way for you to report back to our team. It's also, I have to note that you guys should be complying with the policies on your campus. Some campuses might have policies about postering, that if you poster, you have to take down within 4 days, or you can't poster in certain areas. So definitely make sure that you're not putting Google logo where it's not allowed, because we definitely want to keep good relations with all of your schools. Any questions? Okay. So a little bit more information about planning events on campus. You guys are each going to have a $100 gift card as a budget for your school for 2010. So that can be used towards pizza, it can be used towards posters, it can be used towards tablecloths, whatever you guys want to use with it. If you want to get like Google colored balls that you can play some kind of competition with or games with, and that would work too. Yes? Is this soon to be like the fall semester? Yeah. This is the rest of 2010. So fall semester, unless your school goes by quarters. Yeah. You're also going to hopefully get swag. Like we said, I mentioned. When they see that you're doing a good job, they're going to do a better job. But we typically, if we get a large orders of swag, they usually get about 70 items per school. So you want to use those strategically. You want to use them to decorate first, and then not just put them on a table so everyone can grab them and leave your event, but rather put them on a table so everyone can see them and wish they had them, and then do your competition or listen to your event and win it somehow. And someone mentioned that they used their swag as a giveaway, and then they had people come pick it up, and only half the people came to pick it up so they could use it again. That's not cheating. That's okay. Food. So food is definitely a way to attract students on campus. I'm sure you guys know when you leave Google, you won't have free food every day. So you're going to be looking for it, and same with your classmates. So I heard people say yell out kind of food options earlier. Does anyone have any good ideas for food? Pizza? Why? Why pizza? It's convenient. It's easy. Everyone likes it. What? Candy. I'm going to go back to pizza real fast. Pizza's great because you can smell it walking down the hall. You can't smell bagels or sandwiches. So if somebody's walking back from class and they smell pizza, they're probably going to go over and check out what it is and take a few slices. Yes, you could use cake or candy. People like the sweets. If you want to get creative, you could put the Google logo on the cakes and frosting, which would be pretty cool. Um, Another note is we have fun down here, and that's actually pretty important because you want people to be attending your events, and people don't attend events that aren't fun. So it's great to have academic events or engineering-related events or anything that's kind of enrichment events, but you also want to have fun. So you can do things that are related to fun events on campus, like football games. Like you guys can have a presence there, and you don't necessarily need to have people coding and doing algorithms and competing to make the next best app. Yes. Good question. The budget is per campus. So you guys will be working with your partner and sharing the budget and sharing all the swag. And we also announced to you guys who's going to be getting all of the deliveries. So make sure that that person doesn't move. And make sure that you guys are working together to give out that swag. Does anybody have any good ideas for fun events that they want to yell out? Nobody has good ideas. Why did we hire you guys? Ping pong. Great idea. Yeah, have a ping pong tournament. Exactly. Exactly. So once they come play ping pong, they sign up, and we have their emails now, so you guys can invite them to the next event. We don't. You guys do. Yes. A YouTube video contest is a great idea. I really like that idea. People like to have competition. Like they get competitive, and they want to be the winners.
It could be for a video about why Google should hire more interns from our school next year.
It could be Google. Yes, they could be pitching themselves to Google. Anyone else? No? Okay. So another note is that you guys know your campus better than we do. That's why we hired you guys. That's why you guys are part of this ambassador program. You can do whatever you want that you think. Well, if you comply with all the guidelines that we just mentioned before, but you guys should be planning events on your campus based on what is successful on your campus. Some of you come from large schools with a lot of students. Some of you come from small liberal arts schools, and you're definitely going to be doing things differently. If you don't have a football game, you're not going to be promoting at the football games. If you guys have campuses that are spread apart, I know somebody mentioned, I think it was Arizona State. Their campus is the computer science campus, and everything else is, no? I'm getting no. There's 4 campuses. Okay, there's 4 campuses. So they asked if they should be doing events together, and I said, how long is the drive? And she said, 2 hours from home and 45 minutes from campus to campus. And then she said, so should we be doing things together? And I said, well, no, it doesn't really make sense for them to be coming together to do one event. They can kind of divide and conquer and do events on different campuses. Another person goes to the Claremont colleges. Where were they? Yes, so they asked about doing events together because they have 5 colleges that are all within, walking distance? Within 2 or 3 miles, there are 5 colleges. So yes, they should be definitely working together with the other colleges to promote events together. And that's something that probably happens more frequently than, say, Berkeley and Stanford. Are you?
I just wanted also to kind of add to what Alex is saying and just put another plug in for what we had mentioned yesterday is that we really would love to hear about how all your events are going, and short of just or beyond just the RSVP forms and say like, oh, we got like 100 email of students, which is fantastic. But we'd also love to see pictures. There's going to be a lot of mechanisms that Emily has built into the site that you'll be able to kind of share this information through pictures, through videos, just through, telling us about the event and what happened. Sharing information with each other will be really helpful. And it'll also be really helpful for us. So we can kind of go back to the product teams and to the university programs teams and just let them know about all the awesome events that you guys are doing. So yeah, just remember to do that.
Right, if you guys do like an awesome job of decorating a room for $10 and it looks so googly and you send a picture, then other ambassadors can copy it on their campus and your event just got way cooler. Yes. Right, so they can post information on the blog and make you guys famous. So I also just saw some specialists walk in. So I was going to ask if, I think a lot of you guys are Eng, if you want to stand up and introduce yourselves, because they're going to be walking around and helping you guys with your event planning. Damien already introduced himself, I believe, but there's Jessica right next to him. Go for it. So if you go to one of those schools, Jessica's your lady. And then Isa. And Vivian. You see. She's been watching you guys. And all of the people you just met are on the engineering side, but they are happy to work with PSGNA non-technical ambassadors as well.
Although we do have PSGA specialists.
Although we do have PSGA specialists that will also be here. Okay. I think we're ready to start working on your guys' breakouts.
Well, any questions first about kind of what we've been talking about?
So I feel like it's inevitable that like when we hold these events, people will probably try to drop off like resumes and that kind of stuff. Like, how should we handle those?
That's a good question. So the question was, at these events, he thinks it's inevitable that people will be dropping off resumes, and you're probably right. I think that the best way to handle that is to, if you guys could forward the resumes to your specialists in contact information. And if you guys want to say, like, this student has been great, he's been really helpful, and he's really, really smart, and refer people, then your specialist will be the right person to talk to. And you guys will get a list of specialists who work with your schools. And if there isn't a specialist with your school, we'll find out who you should send that information to. Yes?
I have two questions. One with the like logo on the ground thing, is chalking okay? Because that's really huge at my school.
Yeah, chalking is okay.
And then my second question is, like, have you ever experienced that an ambassador gets a lot of pushback from administration saying, like, if you're not registered, you can't hold like an event or something, and how do you go about like getting around that?
That's a great question. So the question was if we've ever seen any ambassadors get pushback from career centers or anybody on campus about hosting events. The question is yes, we have. Sometimes it's easier for us to kind of get in contact with them. So what school do you go to? Smith. So you guys will all have somebody working with you. And if you find that you have pushback like that, you can contact our team. First, contact your specialist if you have one, and hopefully your specialist can put you in touch with that person. And I think we're going to do a better job this year of introducing you guys as part of our team. So hopefully that shouldn't be a problem as much, but definitely come to them and introduce yourselves as the ambassadors beforehand so they know your name and your face. And then when you're coming to them asking for a room or for help with one of your events, it should be a little bit easier for you. But yes, it might happen. You might have a little bit of pushback. Every school has different policies about students reserving rooms. Sometimes it's easier for students to reserve rooms than our team, for example, and sometimes it's almost impossible. So you kind of have to work with your campus and figure out what works best for you guys. Good question. Yes.
So about the budget, is there a separate food budget, or is it just $100 for a whole semester?
No, the $100 is for the whole semester. So that's why we've been really stressing the scrappy part of it. And pizza's pretty cheap, but that kind of gives you probably one event that you guys can have food at, or you can spend it on something else. Yes. Yes. that's a great suggestion, is to form an organization within your school so you can try and get funding from your school to do Google events, or partner with other organizations so that you guys are either splitting the budget or they're paying for certain events. It's also really cool. I know that you guys, in most situations, you have one technical and one non-technical ambassador. So maybe you get your guys' teams to work together. Maybe raise your hand if you're an engineer. Yeah. Raise your hand if you think you could find a guy in the engineering school who would really want to go help a sorority build a website. Yeah? Okay, we have one. So think of ideas like that where you can be helping other people without necessarily giving them food, but maybe giving them resources or putting them in touch with an engineer. I know that I think that you guys could find, I think more than one person could find an engineer who wants to help the sorority build a website. So be strategic and figure out ways to use your budget widely.
Be creative and scrappy.
And one thing to add about that, so a lot of the webinars that you guys will get from the product teams throughout the year will actually have suggestions about events to do that are relevant to that. So if we're talking about docs and spreadsheets, for example, we'll give you suggestions around events you could do that may not need any money, lets the product speak for themselves. So setting up a table and demoing something that just launched last week is an event in itself. So you can think about things not always requiring money.
Right, and that's why we give you all of these demos. And another thing is look back at those demos and think about which ones were the most successful. Which ones did you guys enjoy the most? Which ones made you guys laugh? Which ones kept your attention? And those are the ones maybe you want to emphasize when you're going back to campus. Yes.
Okay, so
She's gonna use the microphone.
Is this on?
Yeah.
All right. So as far as being resourceful and being scrappy, if you come from a larger school, I think we're going to have to choose maybe which audiences to target per event. Do you guys have preferences? Who are your target audiences and how should we try to mesh to that?
It's a good question. I think that's a question that you should be working with your specialists on. If there is a specialist that's engineering but not PSG&A, then it usually means that we're targeting more of the engineering crowd at your school, or the opposite. If you guys have an engineering specialist and a PSG&A specialist, then we're probably trying to target both. If you have neither, then you probably want to look at the strength of your departments and which students are the strongest at your departments, and maybe target those if there's a place for them within Google.
And I think for on the product side, you're just trying to get the word out. Right, Miriam? Yeah. I mean,
Sorry.
Yeah, think about the people who don't know what this product is and what you're talking about. Maybe those are the right people to reach. But if you're talking about App Inventor, for example, maybe reaching out to a non-technically savvy audience isn't exactly what you want to do. So it's kind of up to you. We're trusting you to kind of have this insight. And if you have questions, you can just ask us.
And ask each other.
Yes.
I can hear you. I can repeat.
Organizations on campus. Is it okay to promote those organizations too along with the Google name, or would you like to keep Google separate from that? This event is hosted by some society.
Keep it up. Yeah, Kat.
So that's actually a really good question. Normally we try not to co-brand too much. However, if you are splitting budget, obviously you have to give credit to the other organization. So I would just recommend maybe say hosted by Google and such, and then when you actually put the logos on there, just make sure they're separate so it doesn't look like it's the same organization. Does that make sense? So Google can be on this side of the page and the other one can be on that side of the page.
Yeah, sure.
Just to give it a little space. That's a really good question.
So it's not saying this is the Google Caltech Students Association or something like that.
Right. It's like you said. If you put the logos together, people might think it's the Google Caltech Student Association, for example. Okay, this is the last question.
So you said that we can't put the Google logo on anything alcohol related. Is alcohol at Google events prohibited or not?
The alcohol at Google events. That's a very, very touchy. I don't know.
I think it
That's
really
touchy.
depends on what your school will allow. If your school is dry, obviously you can't do it. It's also a big thing with underage drinkers. So I would recommend if you're doing on-campus events to just avoid alcohol completely because, you don't want to be liable if someone who's under 21 is drinking. And we would prefer to just not have Google associated with that. So.
Alcohol is also very expensive.
Yes, yes. You can't afford it.
You will not be able to host a happy hour with $100. Oh.
I would write no. I don't do that. I mean,
So-
we're fun, but we're not that fun.
And also use your best discretion because, I mean, if anything's illegal, we definitely don't want the Google logo around it. If anything is discouraged on campus, we don't want the Google logo around it. And if you think that it's touchy, probably don't do it. Okay, thank you, Vice.